Hot take. I like food, and I like when food tastes good, but sometimes I'm too busy whipping up baseball videos to cook food that tastes good, or don't want to spend too much money on takeout that tastes good. Thank goodness for Factor Meals, the sponsor of this video. With 35 different meals to choose from every week, there are always new flavors to explore. You know, that chicken piccata sounds good, but I'm gonna go with the honey mustard pork chop today. Factor keeps my kitchen time to a minimum. Their fresh, never frozen meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. They also offer over 60 add-ons like these protein shakes for those in-between meal times. And you know what? They all taste good. I like when food tastes good. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code FOOLISH50 for 50% off your first order, and this part is new, 20% off the next month's order. Again, that's factor75.com, code FOOLISH50. Ricky Karcher has made exactly one MLB appearance in his career. The 13th round JUCO draftee took the mound for the Reds on June 12, 2023 with the game on the line and hasn't been back in the big leagues since. Here's why this is the Wildest debut performance. Thrust into a high-leverage situation, Karcher simply couldn't find the strike zone with his fastball, resulting in spectacular miss after spectacular miss, as fans could only look on in horror at the pitching atrocities taking place before them. It would be one thing if this was the yips, the adrenaline surge of Karcher making his MLB debut in a tight spot. That happens. Sometimes pitchers just lose all composure, and sometimes they never get it back. But that's not quite what happened to Ricky Karcher that fateful day versus the Royals. Sure, the big moment wasn't helping calm his nerves, but the uncomfortable truth is, this is just how Ricky Karcher pitches. You're probably wondering how the Reds turned to Ricky Karcher in a safe situation in the bottom of the 10th to begin with. Most relievers making their MLB debut wouldn't expect to enter with everything on the line. The game had already descended into madness well before Karcher started warming up in the bullpen. Red starter Luke Weaver fell short of finishing the 5th inning, leading to a conga line of relievers: Alex Young, Fernando Cruz, Casey Legumina, and Buck Farmer. The Reds took a 4-3 lead in the top of the 9th, and Farmer remained in the game as closer. After recording the first 2 outs, it looked like the Reds would win a nail-biter, but fan favorite Salvador Perez gave the folks in Kansas City some free baseball, crushing a solo homer to force extra innings. Wait, is that? After TJ Friedl's attempt at scoring the go-ahead run in the 10th was called out, he was exonerated by replay evidence, showing that Salvi had bobbled the ball while Friedl snuck a toe in. But the Reds would need a faultless frame to close things out. Extra innings begin with a runner already on second, and that runner scores about 60% of the time. It could be argued that taking a 1-run lead is more akin to holding serve than seizing the advantage. So, you are Reds manager David Bell. Glancing at your handy-dandy manager notebook, who are you turning to in the bottom of the 10th with a runner in scoring position? You already used Young, Cruz, and Legumina. Farmer has 25 pitches, so you can't use him for another inning. You probably want your usual closer Alexis Diaz or setup man Lucas Sims, but they've pitched each of the last 2 days. And while Ian Jabot only pitched yesterday, it was 21 pitches split between 2 different frames. The answer, it seems, is fully rested Ricky Karcher. After jogging to the mound and a quick, "Hi, I'm Kurt Casale, I'll be your catcher this evening" introduction, he's set to face Bobby Witt Jr. First pitch, fastball in the dirt. You don't see fastball in the dirt in MLB that much, those tend to miss high. Second pitch, great get-me-over slider, strike 1. Third pitch, fastball high. Fourth pitch, fastball in the shadow of the zone, but still a ball despite the protestations of Bengals guy. And finally, a slider gets away from him for a 5-pitch walk. He's pitched around the most dangerous hitter he'll face, but he's also put arguably the fastest man in the game on base as the winning run. Next up is Maikel Massey. Karcher greets him with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball way inside, but it works out beautifully because Massey shows bunt. 0-1. Karcher's next offering is a slider high and outside. 1-1. And then... Now, a fastball up and in is the usual counter to a bunt attempt, but Karcher takes that advice pretty literally and uncorks a heater straight at Massey's face. When you miss a spot this bad in this situation, the outcomes are typically the same. Either the ball gets away and the tying and winning run move up 90 feet, or he hits the batter and the tying and winning run move up 90 feet. But neither of those things happen because in an act of instinctual self-preservation, Massey bunts the ball foul. Some way, somehow, this is a strike. After the game, the catcher, Curt Casali, described the fastball as Wild Thing, a reference to unpredictable closer Mitch Williams, who inspired the character of Ricky Vaughn in Major League. Karcher, himself a Ricky, used Wild Thing as his walkout music with Double-A Chattanooga. His first big league appearance is unfolding like this not just because he's a bundle of nerves, but because he truly is uniquely wild even among the many major leaguers with inconsistent command and control. In the last 20 years, there have been 20 minor league pitchers who have struck out at least 20% of the batters they faced and walked 20% of the batters they faced in their professional careers. Of those 20, only 5 made it to Double-A, and only 1 made it to Major League Baseball, and that one only pitched in 1 game. If you're not following me, it's this one. Casali calls for Karcher's other pitch, a changeup. That doesn't work either, as he makes a difficult block to keep the runners at bay. Back to the slider, I suppose. Massey flies out to center, and Nate Eaton, the runner on second, does an attempt to advance to third. All right, Ricky, 1 out. In between at-bats, Casali has a quick mound visit with Karcher. Casali himself only entered the game at catcher in the previous inning, but he's the ideal veteran backstop to corral a young pitcher. 2 years prior, he was the backup to Buster Posey on the miraculous 107-win San Francisco Giants. When Posey started at catcher, they won 62% of their games. When Casali started, that number was 76%. And it's not like Posey wasn't a brilliant veteran catcher in his own right. He was. And it's also not like Curt Casali was hitting like Buster Posey. He wasn't. The runners take off on Karcher's first pitch to Edward Olivares. Casali bobbles the transfer, and there's no throw. The tying and winning run are now both in scoring position. Karcher's next offering is a fastball way up. Casali has to abandon his squat entirely to snag it. Let's try that again. Nope. Every time Curt Casali comes up with the ball, he's saving the game by preventing the tying run from scoring. If you were tracking the game on your phone via the MLB Game Day app, you wouldn't even be able to see how high these pitches were. They were off screen. Olivares, no doubt rattled by the Wild Thing, loses track of time and isn't, to quote from the rule, alert to the pitcher when the pitch clock reaches 8 seconds. This results in a violation against the hitter, an automatic strike to make the count 3-1. Between this and the Massey bunt foul ball, Karcher, a wild pitcher trying to lock down a save in his big league debut, has been gifted 2 strikes by the baseball gods. Casali realizes the slider is the only call. Karcher's next pitch to Olivares finds the zone for strike 2, but it really should have been strike 1. And then an awkward backup slider coaxes bad contact as Olivares pops up to Elly De La Cruz at third base. 2 outs. That slider is the reason Karcher got the call-up in the first place. In the very small sample of the 13 he threw, Stuff Plus rated it as one of the nastiest in MLB based on the velocity, movement, and release point. Of course, this type of pitch grading doesn't factor for location, but it does at least explain why a team might consider calling up a pitcher with 34 walks in 22 minor league innings. I'm not condoning calling up a pitcher with 34 walks in 22 minor league innings, mind you. I'm just explaining why it happened. Maikel Garcia is up next, and to up the ante, I'll tell you this is the last batter of the game. He's greeted by another front door backup get me over whatever you want to call it slider, and Karcher gets the call, strike 1. Casali thinks to himself, let's try another fastball. And it's just like all the other fastballs. Casali throws his glove up there and saves the game once again. Like my profile on certain apps, the average big league hitter is a little over 6 feet tall. But of course, they don't stand fully upright in the batter's box. This fastball is 5.5 feet off the ground, but right at head level for a stanced-up Maikel Garcia. And it's Karcher's third fastball that inning with such height. Here are the pitchers in MLB who threw the highest percentage of pitches 5.5 feet or higher in 2023. 3 of Karcher's 21 qualify, giving him the highest way too high rate in the league. But look at the other names in the top 10. None of them are actually pitchers by trade. They were position players lobbing epheses in blowout games, not trying to lock down a save. The difference becomes even more stark when we factor in the velocity of these high pitches. Again, you've definitely seen a wild pitcher before, but not like Ricky Karcher, at least not at the big league level. Casale finally realizes he can't call for another fastball ever again. Karcher gets his slider in the zone for a fouled-off strike 2. Then throws 2 excellent sliders just off the plate, but isn't able to get a chase or an incorrect strike 3 call, despite the pleading of Bengals guy. For his 21st and final pitch in a Cincinnati Reds uniform, he throws another inside slider. It would be ball 4, but Garcia swings. Ricky turns to the outfield for this outing's denouement. The ball comes tumbling down. Stuart Fairchild camps under it and makes a routine catch in left. Despite all attempts at self-sabotage in his first MLB appearance, Ricky Karcher has locked down the save for the Reds. A save that began with a runner on second and looked like this. 21 pitches, only 5 of them in the strike zone, and many in a different zip code. When Casale embraced Karcher on the mound, he kept it brief and professional. "Congratulations," he said. "We've gotta work on your fastball." A save in your first big league appearance isn't that rare on its own. It happened 5 times in 2023, but the other 4 were a result of one of my favorite obscure rules. If a reliever pitches the last 3 innings of the game while preserving their team's lead, they get a save regardless of the score. So, when Keaton Winn tossed the last 4 innings of an 11-3 Giants win over the Cardinals the very next day, he recorded a save despite the game being out of hand before he even entered. I call these Littleton Saves, named after Wes Littleton, who is credited with a save for his Rangers in a 30-3 victory over the Orioles in 2007. To find a non-Littleton save, you'd have to go back to 2020 Kwang Hyun Kim, but he'd already pitched 12 seasons in Korea's KBO before his MLB debut. Same for Kyuji Fujikawa, who had over 200 career saves in Japan's NPB before recording one in his 2013 debut for the Cubs. You'd really have to go back 20 years ago now, to Frank Grosecki in 2004 and Todd Wellemeyer in 2003, to find pitchers recording saves under similar circumstances in their big league debut. And it was the first time a Cincinnati Red had achieved this feat since Art Jacobs in 1939, 30 years before the save stat was even official. A wonderful illustration of how Karcher was thrust into a high-stakes situation in his only career appearance is Leverage Index, which grades how pivotal a situation is based on the inning, score, outs, and runners on base. The average is always 1, and the top active pitchers by average leverage index for their careers hover around 2. Naturally, they're all closers like Devin Williams, Jordan Romano, and Edwin Diaz. But thanks to his one appearance in 2023, Karcher holds the record for the highest career average leverage index by a long shot. Plenty of pitchers have only made 1 or 2 big league appearances, but none of them did so under as much pressure as Ricky Karcher, and he got the job done. After his miraculous save, Karcher proceeded to give one of the all-time great post-game interviews to Jim Day. The Reds dugout stayed to watch the entire thing. Lost for words, he got a cooler dunked on him and recorded 7 I don't knows in just over 2 minutes.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say.
As well as one expletive just barely acceptable for cable television, though maybe not this video.
Holy wow.
Ricky Karcher is no longer a member of the Reds organization. He was sent back down to AAA following his save and became a minor league free agent after the 2023 season. He's currently pitching in the Arizona Diamondbacks system as of 2024. If you look up his numbers, whether they be today or years from now, his walk rate will likely remain Ricky Karcher-esque. He does have great stuff, as evidenced by the fact he somehow navigated through a big league lineup with just his slider, but with his command and control, who knows if he'll ever make a second appearance in the majors. Still, his one inning thus far remains a delight, a treasure, a bit of a train wreck, but also a success. Right before his four-letter word, Karcher said it himself.
It doesn't even feel real. It's like a movie, bro.
And it was. One part comedy, one part horror, but in the end, the protagonist won.
Holy.
Thank you very much for watching, and thank you to William Cage for the music.